And 5, 4. Do we have 2 joints?
Oh, yes, we do.
It's 420. Thank you. And oh, we made it, guys.
Oh, if I can get a good lighter, I got one.
Me too. Happy 420, everyone. Give yourself a round of applause. We made it. Another day.
Did you fix the sliding camera?
I think so. I taped it.
Oh, okay. We taped a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I think it looks fine. Okay. So, let's grab some extra lighters just in case. I'll put these right here. Oh, let's
Okay.
get nice and toasty.
It got a lot warmer now that the sun is out.
And it stopped raining. Mm-hmm. So, let's keep going with our series on the legends of 420. Today,
It's a segment,
Yes.
right? A series. We're trying to
Series.
figure out our segments.
Segment, same thing. Today we're going over the amazing Seth Rogen. God, he has so much on his Wikipedia, but I'll start with these. Seth Aaron Rogen, born April 15th, 1982, 5 days away from 420. Oh, it's his birthday tomorrow. That's crazy.
Wow, we should have done it for tomorrow.
I know. Well, no. You know
missed
that it's even better. The episode will be up, and so we can send it to him tomorrow. So Seth Rogen is a Canadian actor, comedian, writer, producer, and director. He began his career performing stand-up comedy during his teenage years while still living in his hometown, Vancouver. He landed a supporting role in Judd Apatow's series Freaks and Geeks. Shortly after he moved to Los Angeles for his role, Freaks and Geeks was officially canceled after one season due to low viewership. Rogen later got a part on sitcom Undeclared, which also hired him as a writer. After landing his job as a staff writer on the final season of The Ali G Show, Apatow guided him toward a film career. As a staff writer, he was nominated for a Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Writing for a Variety Series. Rogen made his first movie appearance in Donnie Darko with a minor role in 2001. Rogen was cast in a supporting role and credited as co-producer in Apatow's directional debut, The 40-Year-Old Virgin. Universal Pictures subsequently cast him as the lead in Apatow's films Knocked Up and Funny People. Rogen co-starred as Steve Wozniak in Universal's Steve Jobs biopic in 2015. In 2016, he developed the AMC television series Preacher with his writing partner Evan Goldberg and Sam Catlin. He also serves as a writer, executive producer, and director with Goldberg. And so, super talented guy. He's like an actor, a writer. He can lead in a film. And so, there were just so many things about him. But one of the things that we like most about him is that he's just such a cool stoner. Like his I don't know anyone who
Do the Canadians, is their stoner culture a little more like Denver or California? I mean,
I guess it depends on where you are.
well, if he's
'Cause
can
Canada's
smoke
such a
with
big
Snoop
place.
Dogg, I guess.
But
Like,
even-
is it something that they do all like? I don't like.
even if you think about all of the Canadian and American celebrities that you know that are really like outspoken about weed, like Snoop and Seth, it's still like you're gonna have a hard time finding
More?
well, kind of like stoners that are famous and are very
Vocal about it.
yeah, and he has like no qualms about being a stoner in a time where it was still not legal.
Yeah, like that's, I guess. I mean, the Beatles, that guy got arrested a lot of times. Lennon, for smoking weed all the time.
You want to
Because in
see
UK, it was really illegal too.
Seth Rogen take a big hit from a gravity bomb?
Oh yeah, I've seen this one. It was on his Instagram. I was like, I want one after watching it. Gravity bombs, guys.
So there he is, lighting the bowl, and he flips the the bong upside down so it
And it
fills
has
the chamber.
water.
Yeah, the water pulls the bowl and fills the chamber with the smoke. And then what he does
'Cause
is
it's
he
creating
flips
like
it,
a
and then the
vacuum.
water pushes the smoke
Yeah.
out, and he inhales. That's like one of the coolest rigs I've ever seen. Let's watch it again.
Once we start up all our strains again, I want to get cool pieces to try the.
Oh man, Seth has so many cool pieces.
We should have a segment where we try Clean Farms products.
It's every day. But yeah, we
Well,
should.
I mean new ones, and then they could see us and watch us. Like what happens when we do our extracts compared to, or on a gravity bong. Can you imagine?
Oh god, I want a gravity bomb.
Because even the same weed at the same doses can hit you so different depending how you take it.
So not only do I like Seth Rogen as
He
an
rolls
artist,
his own
but he
joints.
rolls his own joints and like
We
his own
practice
crutches.
so much. I think that's all stoners are supposed to know how to roll their own joints. We are just weird ones, whereas we only know how to stuff them in a cone.
Yeah, he's.
We
an
made
OG.
products before we were smoking them.
Yeah, like we were saying before, he's also.
Those
he's
are
also
with a blunt
really,
wrap.
Yeah, but he's also really good friends with like Snoop and like other.
Like who's that guy in the middle?
I
Is it
think
Sad?
that
I
might
don't
be
know.
Wiz Khalifa. I might be wrong. If I'm wrong, people are gonna tell me. So, I'm not as cool as Seth. There's him. He's just.
He looks like he's in like the Caribbean somewhere.
But I guess he's unapologetic about weed. Like he was almost living a life where weed was normalized before it was normalized. Do you know what I mean?
So that's why I wonder if in Canada it's such a kind of has like a negative, like thuggish type. Don't you feel like that was the kind of stereotype, Cali? And I realize it's not, that's all depending on the location a lot of times.
I mean, have you seen Trailer Park Boys?
But is that based
That's
in
in-
Canada?
yeah.
Oh, okay. See, I want to watch them. I know, like, they get a look into a lot of American culture because American films, but I've never really seen that except Korean dramas.
Yeah.
Been able to have a look into someone's culture because of all the movies. I wonder.
But
if
Seth
Canadian-
Rogen, I feel like, is the only Canadian I know that's really into that. Really,
none of
is
the
into
other
cannabis?
famous actors,
I don't know.
like Reynolds or like.
I mean, this is on his Instagram. If Reynolds was like smoking weed, I think
we wouldn't see it on his Instagram.
Yeah,
Like,
like Seth Rogen just posts it.
you don't even see it on my Instagram.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like I feel like lived life where weed was normal before weed was normal.
He was.
He's like unashamed about it, and it's like, why should you be?
The original normalizer.
He's just proud of it. It's like, I'm smoking weed.
Well, maybe not proud of it, but if you're gonna get a picture of him, you're probably gonna get a picture of him smoking weed.
No, but he's taking
he
pictures
doesn't-
of himself.
He doesn't want to go hide it. I know, so he doesn't want to put his thing down. That sounds like
No, it's
he doesn't want to put. He probably lit it and he's like, okay, let's take pictures. And he's having fun where he's at, but he happens to be smoking weed all the time. So is he gonna always remove the weed from the picture, or is he always just gonna take
Well, that's
it?
what I'm saying. He doesn't feel the need to remove it. That's
That's what I'm saying. So I don't think it's a proud thing. I think it's just like, hey, I'm not. This is where I'm at right now. What I'm doing. Here it is.
right. It's just him.
Yeah.
He's just being him. Yeah, right.
So I wouldn't say, because being like proud of it is completely different. Like I don't think it's just. He's being unashamed of something doesn't mean you're proud of it.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. So he has some other cool things. I saw these. There's like some stoner tech things that he has that are really cool. Like, look at this.
Yeah, I want to see stuff
Look
like
at this thing. You ash it in this bowl, and then it has like this hinge where you can put the ash into a bigger container, and you get a clean bowl.
when smoking was popular and we had to get all the hardware for the hotels. We always had to get smoke trays, and most of them had something like that where you had to. I think he took this out from somewhere. What do you think?
I don't know. It's cool. I want
But
one.
it's older, yeah, and they were all they were all that color. They were on top of trash can things, so where you can smoke and throw your trash away, and then there was a place where you could put out the butt before.
Look at this one. This is like the party set.
What? I always wondered. Man, we should show our sets. Where's our
I know,
cool
but his is
ashtrays?
nesting. It's a nesting ashtray. It's so
Did
cool.
you see the other one?
But this one has like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
The one that's like this at the Leeward house, and it had a bunch, and it was all nesting too.
I know, nesting ashtrays. That's how you know you smoke too
But are you
much.
sure it's supposed to be for? Is that what it's meant for?
I'm pretty sure. It has like the ridges.
Because the
and
other
they're all
ones, I
bowls.
think it was meant for spices.
But how would you get the? Why would they have the ridges on the side? The ridges
Put
on
the
the
little spoons.
Oh, I guess.
don't know.
Maybe.
Now I see everything with like a stoner's eye, like it's meant for weed. Before, when I didn't know, I thought it was just like meant for crack or something like that.
So Seth Rogen not only
Wow.
loves weed, but he has his own weed line.
Oh, so
Called
that's what
Houseplant.
he's selling.
No, I don't think he sells this. I think he teamed up with some growers.
No, but of course, then it makes sense. Why would he always be smoking weed in his Instagram?
I don't. He doesn't. From what
If
I
he
can
grows it,
tell,
he's gonna want to sell it. Or he invested in some California cannabis. Hey, that looks like show grows. Oh, I should.
yeah. So I think he's. I don't think. I think he maybe gets the.
Just a partner.
Yeah, I'm not sure how involved he is in this, but this was
Well,
one
we know how
post.
partnerships go in this.
Yeah, so they even do like the packaging, and he's kind of overseeing that. But he also gets involved.
Like quite literally, he's all standing over there.
Well, he also even like cuts them, or maybe just for this batch. But he's also here cutting labels.
Just
and
for
then
this batch. You know he's trying to smoke. He's smoking it too.
yeah, but I don't think he labels them all the time. And then he puts them on.
No, but he's always smoking it. Don't you think?
I would, you would think that he would.
Well, he's just getting free weed in California. Is this grown in Canada? Where is it grown?
I don't know. I just saw it on his Instagram, and I know that this is his.
Oh,
brand.
maybe it's up and coming. They've been having issues about Canadian investments in cannabis companies.
So this is what the final packaging looks like.
Whole flower cannabis, houseplant. Ah, that's so cute. I wish we can have like refillable. How many eighths would he go through?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's all child-proofs packaging and stuff.
Yeah, so he has a cannabis line. What an entrepreneur. What else does he do? He's obviously on Freaks and Geeks.
That guy, he's always with that guy. That guy must be a stoner.
You think?
He's always with him.
He made McLovin. Do you remember this movie?
Yeah.
Do you remember anything about it?
That kid was trying to get alcohol. I never watched it all the way.
He also, I feel like, made probably the most iconic stoner movie of this generation, Pineapple Express. There's like what? Harold and Kumar? What
yeah,
other?
but I liked, what was it, co-wrote or 50-year-old version, 40-year-old version?
No, I'm saying stoner movies though. Movies
about
weed.
actual.
Yeah, there's not. I can't think of another one other than Harold and Kumar.
What? Yeah, the guy with the ice. What? Oh my gosh, I suck with names. But Friday.
Huh?
Friday.
What's Friday? So, and then him and James.
Yeah, that's
won
the guy. I'm
awards.
like, why are they always together? I don't really like them.
They're good friends. And He was also on Sesame Street.
This one.
I don't think anyone knows that movie. It looks very old.
1995, No One Knows Friday with what? Ice Cube and Chris Tucker.
Well, if you guys know the movie, write in.
I know. Maybe I'm just old. How old were you in 95? Oh, maybe you don't remember.
He's just so funny. He had this, I think Kanye West made this video and he made like a parody of it.
Was he really mad?
About,
Mr. West?
I feel like he would have a decent sense of humor.
I laugh about it.
There was a story about how Sony's Amy Pascal, I think she's an executive, delays office move due to Seth Rogen pot stench.
What does that mean?
Seth Rogen worked at Sony for a few movies, like The Interview, and I think the space that he was in smelled like pot so much that the person that was supposed to move in after couldn't move in.
Because she needed the smell out?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I realized the thing with the mask, even though we can't smoke, at least no one can smell us. So even when I was at the, oh, I shouldn't say this out loud, I was smoking and then I show up someplace and I feel like, oh, no one smelled me, so I don't have to spray anything.
Yeah, maybe that exec could have moved in if she wore a mask.
Yeah.
Here he is asking Alexa to fart. Oh, oops. I need this with sound.
Alexa, fart.
That was a tiny one. I have another one brewing. Do you want to hear it?
Yes.
That was a silent one. Try asking me for a difficult fart. Or say random.
Could I hear a difficult fart?
Here comes a difficult fart. Try asking me for a random fart or try a 60 seconds fart countdown.
Could I hear a random fart?
That was a pooey one. Try asking me for a cheek wobbling fart. Or say random.
A cheap what?
I think he's just an overall funny guy. I think it's hard to be naturally funny. I mean, not naturally funny, but like when it's your job to be funny, it's like when you're a cook, you don't always want to cook when it's like your downtime. Sometimes like when it's your job, you just want to relax. But then Seth Rogen, even when he's relaxing, he seems like just such a chill, naturally funny guy.
Do you think he's trying to be taken seriously?
Well, no, because I think he would look more like
and taken seriously.
like Jonah Hill.
What's wrong with Jonah Hill?
I feel like he's the one that's trying to be taken seriously.
Oh yeah, he wants to get out of the whatever script he feels like he's been stuck in.
Typecasted.
Oh yeah, I'm like, there's a word for it, but
so Seth also cares a lot. I don't know if you saw this on Netflix, but
they're
he
Canadian. I'm just kidding. My racist view of Canadians that they're nice and all their anger is just like ended up in their geese
it's not.
and hockey players.
I try not to look at it as as that's his identity. I just try to see his actions and see like what he's doing as a celebrity. And I don't see a lot of comedians doing.
Well, culturally, I think people are taught different. Like culturally, if they grow up in a place where it's like, oh, you should look around and take care of the community, or I don't, like.
But do you know other Canadians that do like charity?
Yeah, I feel like I know oddly and weird, like a lot of Canadian actors and
like
people
who? Oh, let's just watch this clip.
But
This Halloween, I'm hanging out with Snoop Dogg at my Hilarity for Charity event in Los Angeles to fight Alzheimer's disease. If you want to roll with me to the event, probably get baked with Snoop, click the link in my bio. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, I don't know a lot of like stand-up stand-up charity events that it's organized. Like he organized that whole thing and put it together.
Oh yeah, celebrities do a lot of charity events.
No, but like were they the organizer, not just an attendee?
Oh, I don't know. I've never looked into. I've
Yeah,
just
that's what I'm saying,
heard
like,
of a lot of charity events, and they all show. Yeah, they're always.
Yeah, he like
Showing up,
organized it. Like he's the one that put it together.
Yeah.
But also he cares
I'm
about.
like, if I become famous, I don't think I can organize something like that.
He's Canadian, but he also cares about the Americans who are affected by criminal charges for cannabis.
Yes.
And so here's.
I feel like, yeah, he's probably found a little bit of passion in cannabis.
Yeah, so
and,
you can watch
looking through
this.
Would you like to know an absolutely crazy fact? 77 million people in the United States have a criminal record. There are 327 million people total in the United States today, and a large amount of these records are for minor offenses and seriously impede millions of people's ability to live, restricting people's access to jobs, housing, education, and the right to vote. It doesn't help them, and it doesn't help this country. National Expungement Week is next week. I know what you're thinking. What does expungement mean? It means clearing or sealing the record of a person's prior arrest, criminal charges, or conviction. So next week, there will be events all across the U.S. to help people expunge and seal their records, providing legal relief, voter registration, health screenings, employment workshops, and other services. National Expungement Week is September 21st to the 28th. Visit www.offtherecord.us for the exact location and time of these events.
We should have a natural, like, expungement period. Kind of like bankruptcy.
But bankruptcy, it's not a natural. Like you have to declare it.
Yeah, like, and then they get 7 years or whatever, is it not? And then it's off their records and it's cleaned off. Like you get a starting period. And it's like people who, get stuck in the system and then want out or have been out or what, like there should be a natural expungement.
Yeah, but the system makes
but
more
it
money
doesn't-
keeping those people in. That's the.
And their records like that, because some people they finally get out, they don't get back, they get a lot of help, and then it's like if they still don't receive a lot of outside help for job placement and all that kind of stuff, it's really like he's saying their ability to live, the ones that finally are out of prison, aren't getting convicted anymore or whatever, or they can't even get convicted for those things anymore anyways because those things are no longer illegal.
Yeah,
Like, shouldn't that be a natural thing? Why do we have to get so many lawyers? Because that requires a lot of money to put in just to fight something that should, I feel like, naturally happen. But I'm glad he's fighting for it.
He also makes pottery. I think he made these. He makes these.
That's the other one, the nesting one. It had a thing like that.
Yeah, he has a little tray for you to rest your joint while it ashes.
He's so funny.
He's so cool. I think there's another one. I think he makes a few if you go to his Instagram.
Instagram? Does he sell them on Pinterest? Oh wait, is Pinterest where you can sell stuff? I still don't know what Pinterest is or Tumblr. I think I got them mixed up. Wow, that one's pretty.
Yeah, he makes a lot.
Wait, so he lives in Canada or US? Oh, he lives in LA, huh?
I don't know.
Oh. Both.
He also loves his dog. Look at this dog. I think he tied the ears up.
He had the painting, that artwork with the
Oh, he had a painting?
King Charles Spaniel. What is it called?
This dog's so cute.
Cavalier. What are those dogs called?
Oh, Seth. He's so cool.
It's like a model shoot for Champion. Did they make that?
And then finally, Seth also loves nature. He's a true stoner.
Hey, that looks like
Yeah, it kind of looks
Mormon rocks
Oh, does it look like Mormon rocks? Maybe.
or jumbo rocks.
It's somewhere in Southern California.
We should have left Easter eggs with some houseplant weed.
There's him and his dog. They're so cute. I want to go camping with Seth. It seems like a lot of fun.
Just smoking weed.
Here he is canoeing with his dog.
Oh, so cute.
All right. Well, that's our segment on Seth. What a guy.
I know. I wonder if those guys dab.
I'm sure they do. I'm sure he does everything.
Everything? You know what's weird is I remember watching Geeks and Freaks or
Freaks and Geeks.
Freaks and Geeks, but I didn't know they were canceled so early because I usually don't catch a show when it first comes out.
Mm-hmm.
Like that means it only lasted one season, and I watched it.
Yeah,
No, I think I only watched it in the background. It must have been Chansa who had it on. Was it on MTV?
I'm not sure. I never watched it.
Oh, sorry. I just can't believe that means I must have saw him. Or was he not on it?
I think he was on it. That's where he came from.
Oh, sorry. We're not supposed to be sharing joints. Social distancing.
Mm-hmm. This camera, I don't know why it keeps freaking out. I think it's fine. Okay. Should we go to the next story?
Yes.
Which is about South Korea. And their how they use contact tracing to solve their coronavirus problem.
Contact tracing.
Let's take a look.
Countries around the world have shut down to curb the spread of the coronavirus. But in South Korea, people are starting to come back out on the streets. Starting in late February, South Korea was reporting a sharp increase in coronavirus cases. With over 5,000 infected, they were registering some of the highest numbers of confirmed cases in the world. But then something changed. While cases in most other countries continued to rise, Korea's numbers started leveling off. Look at how this curve starts to bend. It indicates that Korea managed to contain the spread of the virus early on. On December 31st, 2019, China reported the first case of the coronavirus. By late February, the total number of coronavirus cases rose dramatically, crossing 3,000. This made South Korea's outbreak the largest outside of mainland China. And it all started here, in Daegu, where a woman went to the hospital with a fever. Because the government had already equipped hospitals with coronavirus tests, doctors were able to test her. She tested positive and became known as Patient 31. But the testing didn't stop there. While she was sick, Patient 31 had gone to a megachurch where she sat with a congregation of hundreds for more than an hour. So they traced her movements, identified people she had come into contact with, and then tested those people as well, whether they showed symptoms or not. Many of them also tested positive, so they were quickly isolated and treated at home or at a center. And then all the people they had been in contact with were traced and tested too. This is called contact tracing. It's an approach that allowed Korea to test over 9,000 people who had been in contact with someone who had tested positive. But that's just the human-to-human transmission. The infected person may have moved through the city, touching subway poles and door handles. And South Korea had prepared for this too. After the MERS outbreak, when they weren't able to trace the movements of the virus, Korea changed the law, allowing the government to collect a patient's data and security footage during an outbreak. All their steps are logged and then shared to alert people to stay away from the path of infection.
if there is some confirmed case found near my office, they message via smartphone. There is a confirmed case near your place. He moved some place to another place. Be cautious.
Websites and private apps compile that information, allowing everyone to see if a person with a confirmed case of coronavirus went to a pharmacy or the hospital or anywhere else. And they'll know how recently they went too.
It's a means of checking the possibility of infection.
Citizens are checking the coronavirus locations and are avoiding going to these areas.
This information lets people know if they've crossed paths with an infected person, so they can go get tested for the virus. And contact tracing starts all over again. As a result, South Korea was able to test hundreds of thousands of people, more than any other country at the time. And this made it easier for authorities to see the virus, to see where it's located and where it may be lurking. This ability to find and treat infected people has allowed Korea to avoid aggressive lockdowns. And it's helped bend the curve of the outbreak that started out dangerously steep.
So
Korea was our testing grounds for our government to start telling us it's time to let us track you.
they had that's a Vox video, and I had to cut it because obviously I didn't want to use too much of it. But they explained that Korea had another outbreak. It was another coronavirus outbreak called MERS, Middle Eastern Respiratory something, and they had one of the most deaths like during that time. I think it was maybe 2015. It was within the 2000s, and it really set the infrastructure for
Why they set up the
why they set up contract tracing and why they're so serious about testing and finding people to test. And so one of the big things about contract tracing is that a lot of people are afraid that it's going to be unsecure, and people will be able to see, like, it's just kind of an opportunity for the government to take more data and figure out, do you know what I mean? Like, it just seems like an opportunity for people to give up more security. And so it seems like, Westerners might be more adverse to trying something like this. Like, we
recognizing that like the phone in their pocket can be used as like a microchip. Do you know what microchips are for dogs and cats?
Isn't that the same thing as carrying your phone in your pocket, though?
Yeah, basically.
We already do it.
We already do it.
Well, the point is, it's like, how do you get back to normal if there's no vaccine? You look at China, and they had to lock everyone inside their houses to try to mitigate people
having it move and
Right.
keep passing it from people to people because we're the host. It doesn't-
And so South Korea, they're like a democratic country, and they didn't have to have such severe lockdown measures. But what they did have to give up, I guess, in a way, is their movement. Although
they have to, and let the government let
But it's not-
everybody know that if you've tested positive, and then
Yeah, right. It's not that it's giving up your movement as an individual. It's giving away your movement as a carrier. And so ideally,
it's like, what if you were on blast? It's like, okay, so this person tested positive. They went to this freak show on Friday night.
Well,
and then
that's
they
the thing.
went
It's
to,
like, do you trust the software enough to keep you anonymized?
like, will the software have all the HIPAA regulations in place to protect its? I'm like, you think it's being protected now in a way that's
Well, it depends on who
even the
writes
things they
the
want us
software.
to do about medical marijuana was like a joke. It's like they don't understand. Government doesn't understand those things, even though they wrote it. Weird. like the HIPAA regulations and like
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
privacy
It depends on
things.
who's writing the software.
Like Zoom, I don't understand how it's still.
It was made. Zoom was made by a Chinese guy who made the coronavirus so that more people would use Zoom.
That's your conspiracy?
I don't think it's a conspiracy. It's like who made money during the coronavirus? Zoom.
You think he could have developed a virus?
Well, he developed his app
Had it
first,
spread.
and then his app wasn't doing well. He's like, how can I get more people using my video conferencing app? How do I get everyone
Do you think
to
the
stay at home?
code to make a virus in a computer is similar to making a code for a virus?
Yeah, because both of them are loops. They're both, I guess, recursive. They call on themselves to make themselves. It's such a weird. They are weirdly similar. How DNA is coded and how computers are coded. It's weird. Because even with DNA, you can only have, what is it? That
Certain
the proteins that make up the DNA, and there's only certain combinations. Same thing with binary. There's only so many combinations of computing language that you can get. The logic that makes the results. And so, anyways,
So then you would believe Jurassic Park is possible if you can believe that ribonucleic acids or DNA can be replicated without having a biologic
yeah, I think it's possible. I don't think it's possible yet, but we're mapping the human genome, and as computers get faster, I think
Mapping a genome is completely different.
No, but I think that's
than
once-
completely creating a DNA strand.
right, absolutely, and I think that's just one
Without-
step into understanding what makes up a strand of DNA.
Not only that, a virus.
Right.
It's like. Well,
But anyways, getting back to the topic, do you think? I know. Do you think contract tracing will be? Do you think Americans will use contract tracing?
I think most of us would throw a fit, wouldn't we? Like,
Well,
how
if
did
it
you
meant
contacted? How'd you? So many people be like, "How'd you contact me? Where did you get my information? Who told you I talked to that person?"
no, you're assuming that that's what the information tells you. It's just telling
else is it
you
gonna tell
someone. You just get an alert, like someone who has
Oh, then
coronavirus.
go get tested.
No, it's just like was near you. It's like if you went to the grocery store, it might be like there are 2 people with coronavirus in this grocery store. But yeah, you go get tested. It's not.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to
that's-
give you the name
if
and
it's like
location of the
that-
person. Otherwise, no one would use it. So the thing with the app,
You think we don't know who the whistleblowers are?
no, but the thing with Korea is they need the public and the private enterprises to work together. And so the US government is going to be telling whoever's making the app, which is going to be Apple and Google, who is testing positive.
Is their healthcare universal? Is it a?
I think so. I don't think they're as
That would be much easier to implement.
yeah. I mean, they're a smaller country too,
geez,
and
yeah.
homogenous. Imagine
and
if
they
50
got to restart a lot later.
Imagine if
because of a-
50 Koreas tried to do it all at once. That's
I know,
the United
why
States.
It's up to the states. Like, aren't we part of a West Coast group that's decided we're gonna decide how we're gonna handle?
Yeah,
It's
can you imagine?
Oregon, California, Washington. I don't know who else is on board. The East Coast groups, Massachusetts just added onto their,
Yeah, imagine if you couldn't opt out if you tested positive. Because you're a public risk now.
What do you mean opt out?
You know how you have to register as a sex offender?
Yeah.
It's like imagine if there was a law passed where it said you had to register as a coronavirus carrier and be on the app.
I think it's like trying to expunge your.
Well, it's like I guess the question is how far are you expected to sacrifice like an individual freedom for like the common well-being?
Or does it have to be?
Well, otherwise the other option is just stay home. It's like it's only if you want to go out. That's how Korea is like getting people back out there, is because they have contract tracing.
If we could have implemented blockchain technology, in these systems. We could have created
It's the same
much
thing,
more
though.
secure things right now.
No, but it's the same
to
thing.
do
People
that.
still have to
You can
opt
still do
in.
it. I know, but it is shown to be more secure than what they're using now.
They can
to
make it
do a
secure
system
without
like
blockchain,
this.
though. You don't need blockchain
How
to make it secure.
Like the technologies they're using now to collect the data and stuff. You don't think that's just
There are companies that have never had leaks. If you manage the data properly, it's going to be secure.
who manages their data properly?
Apple seems to do a good job.
Yes, they're very closed.
Facebook does a great job.
Yeah, they own all their own.
Yeah, they set it up right.
Yeah, that's okay. So a few who understandably understand.
No, I'm just saying you can
that
make it secure without blockchain. You don't need blockchain to make it secure.
it would be so much faster. So much secure,
Well,
so much faster, and
But you're the government. You're not trying to make a new system. You're trying to spend the least amount of money.
to just do one system. Like they're not going to keep it around if it works.
Yeah. When do they?
That
when do you?
data is going to become
That's another good point.
no longer protect. They're not going to always invest in protecting it.
Yeah, I wonder.
So
I wonder what Korea did after the MERS, or what they're gonna do with all the data after the contract tracing is no longer needed.
yeah, you think that data lost its value?
Well, it depends on how it's recorded and how the data is recorded.
Or are they going to sell it when they no longer need to protect it?
Who? The government?
Yeah, who knows? Whoever is holding it, however they're holding it.
So you're against contract tracing.
No. If you can show me how you would do it, yeah, I would go for it. But the way they would throw it up, I think could be very dangerous.
So, Apple and Google have teamed up to make contract tracing technology available in the United States.
Did they learn it from China?
Does China do contract tracing? So, did you know there's a feud between Apple and Google?
There's a feud between lots of big companies, I think. Yeah.
Well,
but what's their feud? What's their biggest feud?
Their feud's pretty big.
Because also a lot of their companies that they take over, they were feuding before, and they don't realize how.
This isn't like that.
Oh, okay.
This is between the founders,
This is
Steve
like
Jobs
one of,
and Eric
original,
Schmidt.
like one of those,
This is big.
like the Silicon Valley feud.
Yeah. And so what happened was, in 2007, Steve Jobs launched the iPhone. And everyone knows who Steve Jobs is, but if you don't know who he is, he founded Apple. And he released basically like such a game-changing smartphone that all smartphones had to change to this design if they were going to stay relevant.
We call it a smartphone because it outdid just its phone properties.
Yeah, he
So
made
it was
a
more
usable
than that,
browser.
But that was the footing he brought in with the phone. It's
So, Eric Schmidt, if you guys don't know, at Google founders Larry Page and Sergey Brin interviewed Schmidt. Impressed by him, they recruited Schmidt to run their company in 2001 under the guidance of venture capitalists John Doerr and Michael Moritz. And so the founders of Google, Larry Page and Sergey Brin, they knew they needed a CEO if they were going to grow as a company. And they found this guy, Eric Schmidt. And then in 2001, he became CEO. And then also, Eric Schmidt, on August 28th, 2006, Schmidt was elected to Apple's board of directors, a position he held until August 2009. So in 2006, he came to Apple as one of the board members, because Steve Jobs, when he came back to Apple, he felt like he couldn't get anything done with the current board. So he made the entire board resign, and he hired a new board, and Eric Schmidt was one of the guys. And so it was during that time during Eric Schmidt's tenure at on the board at Apple, the iPhone was released. And this is one of the headlines about that day. The day Google had to start over on Android. Google was building a secret mobile product to fend off chief rival Microsoft. Then Apple announced the iPhone and everything changed. And so this is where the beef starts, because Google had purchased Android and they were working on something, and then the iPhone released. And so this is what one of the engineers that was working on Android, this is how he felt. So the guy's name is Chris DeSalvo's reaction to the iPhone was immediate and visceral. As a consumer, I was blown away. I was blown away. I wanted one immediately. But as a Google engineer, I thought, we're going to have to start over. For most of Silicon Valley, including most of Google, the iPhone's unveiling on January 9, 2007 was something to celebrate. Jobs had once again done the impossible. 4 years before he talked an intransigent music industry into letting him put their catalog on iTunes for 99 cents a song. Now he had convinced a wireless carrier to let him build a revolutionary smartphone. But for the Google Android team, the iPhone was a kick in the stomach. We had suddenly looked just so 90s, DeSalvo said. It's just one of those things that are obvious when you see it. And so Android had to change after the iPhone came out, because as soon as the iPhone came out, they felt like they were behind. And so these are some Google phone concepts. This is before they saw the iPhone.
They look like Blackberries.
Right. That's exactly. They were going to compete with BlackBerry, Palm Pilot, Motorola. So that, physical keyboard.
So they didn't innovate. They just kind of tried to make it look better.
Well, that's everything Google's done.
So.
To be honest, it's they
except
see,
their indexing.
Right.
I mean, that was
their search engine and their mail service, they have some original products, but most of their hardware has been kind of copying already successful products in the market. And then here's another example with, I think, actual physical phones. So yeah, it looked the Android phone on the left before, iPhone in the middle, and then after Android phones, it looked like that. And so the screen wasn't a focus for anyone. Everyone was still kind of focused on like the hardware keyboards. And then the iPhone came out and they were like, wow, you can do so much more.
Well, I think the thing is, when people listen to the consumers and the consumers are like, I need a keyboard, they weren't listening to why. Because I would always say I would love a touchscreen if it reacted the way it should. Mm-hmm. And so the focus for other people were keep the keys and make it pretty screen. And I think for the iPhone was make the screen usable. Mm-hmm. It's not just about its looks. It's like functionality beyond it so that people can realize this is much better.
Right.
We can never see it because it was so frustrating.
Yeah.
And they did so I think a lot of people get stuck in that this is what the consumers need, not realizing that, or not recognizing what.
But you also have to convince a bunch of people to spend money on it and invest in it.
I know, that's a lot
and
of development.
You have to push the engineers and the designers. It's like he did an incredible job. And so the AP said that Schmidt quit Apple's board as Google and Apple went head-to-head in smartphones. Jobs would livid in January 2010, when HTC introduced an Android phone that boasted many of the popular features of the iPhone. One of those was a multi-touch screen where multiple fingers could be registered on a touchscreen. Google's first Android phone did not have such a touchscreen. Apple sued, and Jobs told Isaacson, the author of his biography, in a profanity-filled rant that Google's actions amounted to grand theft. Jobs said, I will spend my last dying breath if I need to, and I will spend every penny of Apple's $40 billion in the bank to right this wrong. I am going to destroy Android because it's a stolen product. I'm willing to go thermonuclear war on this. At a cafe in Palo Alto, California, where the two men were photographed, Jobs told Schmidt he was not interested in settling the lawsuit. And so, Steve Jobs was pissed. He felt like he had invited this guy to be on the board, and he was totally backstabbed by him. But nevertheless, here we are. Apple and Google teaming up 10 years after they stole their phone. So here's a joint statement.
Did he really think it competed, though?
No, I don't think he thought it competed. He
He was
so
just mad about the idea.
like yeah, so him and his team.
Did he not recognize that that's what they were doing, competing with Microsoft too? Like,
Well, the thing is, it's like he had to develop so much of it with like Johnny Eve, and like they had to figure out like, okay, if you're gonna have a touch screen, how are you gonna like navigate, and like how are you gonna like pinch to zoom?
yes, I know.
And like
There's
the
a
grid
lot
layout.
of stuff, and there's a lot of money up front that he had to put into it to develop it, and a lot of like, we get it. That's part of spearheading or making something so innovative. But he just seems so mad about like that.
Maybe because he
It's the
felt
whole thing
like
about like, isn't the best flattery when people are copying you, like, or whatever, like.
yeah, but if it's someone who's on your board of directors that you hired.
Does he not understand board of directors? It's like, come on, you've been burned by how many board of directors to know that they're not they're not going to have, well, I don't know. Maybe that's why I don't have a board of directors.
Yeah, so you think Eric Schmidt was in the right?
I think he did what he was going to do, and I don't think it's not unexpected to have had such a response. I would think that it would be more unexpected.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, what were you expecting? That's my reaction.
Well, that's where the feud starts.
What were you expecting when, yeah, these are giants. Like I said, all giants all fight, and then
Well,
he was mad. I don't know if he said that, though.
what?
What was quoted? That quote about what? His last dying breath.
Yeah,
of
no, he
40
said that.
million. Oh,
That's a quote.
They recorded it.
It's in his book.
Oh.
In the
So
biography.
he was
very
really
serious.
mad.
Yeah.
So did he get rid of that whole board again?
No, Eric Schmidt resigned, and then I think, Eric Schmidt says that they were still inviting him to like dinners and stuff, and so he says it was still cordial with him even after he left. And
Well, that's what I'm saying. Maybe his what he like. It's a normal thing amongst people who work.
and I
in
can't
his group.
remember, but someone from Google reached out to Steve after it's like kind of known that he's not gonna be around for long.
Mm-hmm.
And at first, at least in the book, he said like at first he was like "F you," but then he felt like, if there's any time to like reconcile, it's like now,
Yeah.
or to be to be gracious. And so I don't know. I have a feeling that they maybe worked it out at the end. But anyway, so they're teaming up now to save the world. It says in a joint statement, so they both released this. Across the world, governments and health authorities are working together to find solutions to this COVID-19 pandemic, to protect people and get society back up and running. Software developers are contributing by crafting technical tools to help combat the virus and save lives. In this spirit of collaboration, Google and Apple are announcing a joint effort to enable the use of Bluetooth technology to help the governments and health agencies reduce the spread of the virus, with user privacy and security central to the design. So they seem to be focused on user privacy and security. First, in May, both companies will release APIs that enable interoperability between Android and iOS devices using apps from public health authorities. These official apps will be available for users to download via their respective app stores. Second, in the coming months, Apple and Google will work to enable a broader Bluetooth-based contact tracing platform by building this functionality into the underlying platforms. This is a more robust solution than an API and would allow more individuals to participate if they choose to opt in, as well as enable interaction with a broader ecosystem of apps and government health authorities. Privacy, transparency, and consent are of utmost importance in this effort, and we look forward to building this functionality in consultation with interested stakeholders. We will openly publish information about our work for others to analyze. So we're trying to bring contact tracing to the United States. And I guess, yeah, if you trust anyone in tech, it's one of these two guys.
How much do they pay in taxes?
But we saved you from a virus.
That doesn't answer my question.
Let's see. And then there's another quote here. Kurt Pulse, General Counsel of Electronic Frontier Foundation, wrote in quotes, Bluetooth contact tracing is a vast improvement over location tracking with GPS or cell site information, but it still needs strong privacy and security safeguards. Apple and Google have said they will protect users' privacy. We will hold them to their word and take a close look at the protocol specs and scrutinize safeguards built into public health apps that use the new protocol. It's important to remember that the Apple-Google API is just part of the equation. We also need privacy safeguards with the public health proximity apps that interact with this API. Developers must be sure they are developing apps that will protect and preserve the privacy and liberties we all cherish.
So they are using an API.
Everyone uses, so you have to use an API.
Why did they say that the one before that about why it's better than an API?
No, I think it's why it's better than GPS or cell site information.
Your quote before that didn't say anything about GPS.
This was the one before.
What does it mean? This is a more robust solution than an API and would allow more individuals to participate.
So I think they're talking about so the sentence before says Apple and Google will work to enable a broader Bluetooth-based contact tracing platform by building this functionality into underlying platforms. And so I think an API requires an app. You have to download the app to get the API to gather the information on your device. Mm-hmm. Whereas Bluetooth contact tracing doesn't require an app. It just requires Bluetooth.
Yeah, it just sees you and it says, okay, this person's here.
Right, but if you download, so it allows more individuals, like there are, I guess,
it's more of like a passive thing.
Yeah, so if you have
to activate it.
If you have an iPod, you don't always have cell service, but then you can keep the Bluetooth on and still, I guess, participate in contact tracing.
Meaning it's just in your phone.
When they say robust
it's in
solution,
your phone. You don't have to put an app.
No, I think you still need the app, but then because it relies on Bluetooth, not cell service, that's why it's a more robust solution. Because you just have to be around another person with Bluetooth for you to register the contact.
So the first step is download the apps.
Mm-hmm. And these official apps will be available for users to download via their respective app stores.
This is what I'm saying. See, aren't they just projecting the second wave?
Well, yeah, and contact tracing is actually an excellent solution when the second wave comes, right? It still works. You just have to keep the testing.
I know that there's going to be a second wave. I find it funny that people keep saying, "Oh, we'll be done in June." Like,
yeah,
technically, no.
When the EDD goes until July 31st, the unemployment benefit boost.
Yeah, I'm like, these timelines don't make sense. But anyways, okay, so fine. We download the app. If you don't download the app, then what happens? It's just in our phones regardless?
No, I think you need to download the app to participate. That's why Google and Apple are working on this together, because they have the biggest app stores in the US combined.
But they're going to build this functionality into the underlying platforms. What underlying platforms?
I think the apps will use Bluetooth when they're not connected to cell service. The Bluetooth-based contact tracing.
You don't have to download the app, though.
You do have to download the app. That's what they're talking about. The functionality and the underlying platform is in the app that you're downloading.
So then the second sentence, this is a more robust solution than an API, doesn't make sense. I think you said that's the
You
part.
need internet connection
Okay.
for the
Well,
API.
anyway, okay,
you
fine,
don't
go
need
ahead.
internet. You don't need
I
cell
don't
service
understand
for the
any of this
Bluetooth. That's fine. We got 25 seconds till 4:20. So that's what's going on with Apple and Google. Contact tracing is coming, and if anything is fishy in the protocol, we'll report it. Like and
Everything
subscribe.
sounds fishy.
Well,
Here
it's
you
just
go.
your only solution is to just stay at home. Just stay at home. Don't download the app. 5, 4, 3, 2. Happy 420, everyone.
Woo!
Oh, we made it, guys. Well, that was it. That was 3.
3 episodes?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So we can smoke. Oh,
Take the pictures.
we do
Wait,
have to
no, but
film-
really, okay, can I see the next slide?
What? Which one? The one we were just looking at? This
Yeah. No, the one after that. Conclusion. Bluetooth. Okay, but it still needs an Apple. Yeah, and if they say they're gonna open source, then everyone will be able to see and scrutinize. It's almost like legislation. When the bills go out, they let them out, and then the public has a certain amount of time to read through it, and then say, "Hey, this doesn't look right,"
You
and then they
know-
can change it.
The great thing about software is you can deploy changes a lot faster than legislation.
Yes. Yeah. It's so much faster.
Yeah.
But that's why I'm like, why are our systems so old in the way they're running? And I get it because they were built in an older time. Like, why the crash systems are crashing, and they're now IBM is offering free training for COBOL or whatever. Remember I told you about? I'm like, what's so difficult? It's like, oh, it's just an old language. It's like, oh, you just have to find people who are willing to train. And so I saw those advertisements. They're willing to train state agencies now. How much did you pay in taxes? Just kidding.
It's all about the taxes.
Oh, well, that's nice. They realize they do need to have functioning people and government to have functioning businesses.
Yeah.
Businesses don't survive
without
nothing.
you need
you
consumers
can't just have products
and an economy.
No matter how much you inflate the value of those products, if there's no one buying them, what happens then?
Yeah, that's why all the governments around the world are rushing to give people money.
Brrr.
Oh, yeah. Stupid. All right. Well, let's end this episode here because we got a couple more videos to record.
Oh, we do.
Well,
Okay.
we need to record some outros. So,
Okay.
thanks
Picture.
everyone. Pictures too.
Oh yeah.
Thanks everyone for tuning in, Miguel. And we'll see you tomorrow. And remember, if you don't have any buds, we're your buds.
We'll smoke one for you.
Always. Take care.